Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokan here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. We've got a thrilling lineup of today's NBA games, and I'm ready to dive deep with our predictions and insider tips. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting into the game, today's episode is tailored just for you. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. The first today's prediction is for matchup between Houston Rockets and Indiana Pacers. Tonight's showdown between the Houston Rockets and the Indiana Pacers is gearing up to be a classic clash of hoop philosophies and prowess. The Rockets roll into this battle with a 23-26 record, while the Pacers boast a 28-24 mark, hinting at a slight upper hand for Indiana, especially in their fortress. The Pacers have been on fire, dropping an impressive 124.06 points on average each game, clearly outshooting the Rockets' 113.88. Their sharpshooting is evident in their field goal percentage, standing at 50.26%, overshadowing Houston's 46.48%, and in their three-point game, leading with 37.68% to Houston's 35.03%. Yet, the Rockets have the upper hand in the rebounding department, snagging 45.38 boards per game to the Pacers' 41.02, a key to unlocking second-chance scores. When it comes to dishing out assists, the Pacers excel, averaging 30.67 per game compared to the Rockets' 25.17, showcasing their slick passing and teamwork. On defense, however, both teams tend to let points slip through, with the Rockets conceding 112.33 per game and the Pacers a bit more porous at 122.84. This defensive gap could give the Rockets a shot at keeping the contest tight. Recent performances suggest the Rockets have faced challenges, particularly against Eastern Conference foes and in away games, while the Pacers have stood strong at home and often seen games fall below the total points mark, continuing this pattern in their face-offs with Houston. In their recent encounters in Indiana, the Rockets have clinched 2 victories and beat the spread in 3 out of 5 visits, offering a glimmer of hope amidst a minimal injury list, with Tari Eason sidelined for the Rockets and Benedict Mathurin maybe for the Pacers, promising a nail-biter. With the Pacers pegged as favorites by a 7.5-point spread and the total points bar set at 240.5, the battle is anticipated to hinge on defense or the absence thereof. Given both squads' leniency in points allowed, but with the Pacers outgunning in offense, expect a high-octane game where the Rockets' rebounding prowess and defensive resilience might just see them beating the spread despite Indiana's shaky defense. Considering the Rockets' knack for keeping pace with high-scoring teams and the Pacers' occasional defensive blunders, the forecast tilts towards the Rockets overcoming the 8-point spread. Coupled with both teams' scoring trends, the scoreline is predicted to duck under the ambitious 241-point target. Differing from the Pacers, the Rockets have sharpened their defense, notably excelling in rebounding, ranking second in defense rating over the last 5 games, while the Pacers' offense is 14th. This strategic edge should help them control the game's tempo, leading to fewer possessions and a lower total score. Expectations are high for the Rockets not just to beat the spread, but to outperform. In sum, the Pacers might edge a victory in a tighter contest than the odds suggest, but the savvy bet is on the Rockets to overcome the spread in a high-scoring affair that's unlikely to surpass the 241-point ceiling. My money's on the Houston Rockets to outdo the 8-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Dallas Mavericks and Brooklyn Nets. Tonight's clash features the Dallas Mavericks rolling into Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Both squads are bouncing back from consecutive games, with Dallas looking to capitalize on their narrow edge in wins and offensive firepower. Meanwhile, Brooklyn is set to overturn their underdog status, banking on their home turf advantage. Delving into the season's numbers, the Mavericks have secured 26 victories against 23 defeats, boasting a robust offense that averages 118.25 points per match, but slightly falters on defense, conceding 118.63 points. Their shooting accuracy stands impressive at 47.39%, along with a solid 37.05% from the three-point line. Nonetheless, they trail the Nets in rebounds, managing 41.40 per game. Conversely, the Nets enter the fray with a 20-28 win-loss tally. They generate 114.17 points each game, a tad below Dallas, and their defense gives up 115.32 points. Brooklyn's shooting efficiency lags at 46.11%, with a 36.54% success rate from downtown. Yet they outdo Dallas in rebounds, snagging 45.21 and dishing out 26.57 assists per game, showcasing greater teamwork. Recent trends shed light on both teams' form. Dallas has found it tough to cover the spread recently, recording a 1-4 streak in their last 5 and a 3-6 in their last 9 games. The Nets, facing their hurdles, have a worrisome 5-14-1 record against the spread in their last 20 games and a 2-6 in their latest 8 home appearances. Historically, Dallas has outplayed Brooklyn, clinching 8 out of the last 10 matchups and covering the spread in 5. In Brooklyn, the Mavericks have triumphed in 3 of the last 4 encounters, proving their mettle on Nets' soil. Injuries could significantly influence tonight's outcome. The Nets are without key figures like Ben Simmons, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Dorian Finney-Smith, affecting their defense and attack. Dallas might miss Derek Lively and Dante Exum, which could dent their roster depth. In back-to-back scenarios, Dallas has shown resilience, winning 4 out of 8, while Brooklyn has found it challenging, with just 2 wins in 6 tries. Considering the analysis, team dynamics, and confrontations, tonight's game is anticipated to be fiercely contested. Despite Dallas's scoring capacity and superior accuracy, the Nets' rebounding strength and home advantage might even be the odds, especially given Dallas's recent spread and away game challenges. Despite neither team hitting peak performance, the Nets have a compelling case to cover the spread, leveraging their home game and improved recent defensive and offensive metrics compared to the Mavericks. With Brooklyn eager to cause an upset and considering Dallas's recent spread-covering woes, especially in Brooklyn, the forecast is for the Brooklyn Nets to overcome the plus 3-point spread. Their rebounding prowess, coupled with the home advantage and a push to climb the standings, suggests they're well placed to give Dallas a run for their money. I'm going to back the Brooklyn Nets to beat the plus 3-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Orlando Magic and Miami Heat. In an epic clash on the hardwood, the Orlando Magic are gearing up to take on the Miami Heat in Miami, promising a high-voltage battle between 2 teams that are practically mirror images of each other in the league standings. The Magic have notched 27 wins against 23 losses, holding a slender lead over the Heat, who have tallied 26 wins and 24 losses. This razor-thin margin sets the stage for a fiercely competitive duel, but a deep dive into the stats offers a clearer view of what to expect on game day. Offensively, the Magic have a slight upper hand, dropping in 111.57 points per game to the Heat's 110.45. On defense, however, the Heat slightly outperformed, conceding 111.39 points per game compared to the Magic's 110.84. The Magic's shooting efficiency from the field is marginally better at 46.83% against the Heat's 46.11%, but the Heat lighted up from downtown, boasting a 3-point shooting percentage of 37.55% over the Magic's 34.42%, hinting at Miami's potential to turn the game with their sharpshooting from deep. The rebounding battle tips in favor of the Magic, who snag 43.06 boards per game against the Heat's 41.86, a key factor that might control the tempo and swing possession their way. Yet, the Heat excel in moving the ball, dishing out 25.73 assists per game over the Magic's 24.69, suggesting a more dynamic offense that could slice through Orlando's defense. When it comes to matchups in Miami, the Heat have dominated, sweeping the last 8 games at home against the Magic and covering the spread each time. This streak is hard to overlook, despite the Magic's recent 5-0 run against the spread in their last 5 games and a 4-1 record straight up in their recent outings. Digging into the trends, the Magic have shown they can bounce back, especially on the road with a 6-1 record against the spread in their last 7 away games. Yet, their track record in Miami is less inspiring, with a 0-8 record in their last 8 visits. The Heat, despite a 2-8 wobble against the spread in their last 10 games, have kept their stronghold intact at home against Orlando, with an 8-0 straight-up record in recent matchups. Taking these dynamics into account, the scales tip in favor of the Heat, especially with their proven home court dominance over the Magic and their strategic advantage in long-range shooting. The Magic's clean bill of health compared to Duncan Robinson's uncertain status for the Heat could play into the depth and flexibility of Miami's squad. However, the Heat's prowess in their home arena is well established. The decisive factors will likely be Miami's three-point accuracy and home court stronghold, overshadowing the Magic's advantages in field goal efficiency and rebounding. With the trends, stats, and recent history in Miami as a guide, the prediction leans towards the Miami Heat not only securing the victory, but also covering the 2.5-point spread. With a total points line set at 212.5 and both teams trending towards lower scoring outcomes, it might be wise to anticipate a defensive showdown that keeps the score under the line. To wrap it up, bank on the Miami Heat to harness their three-point expertise and solid home performance to clinch a victory and beat the spread against the Orlando Magic. Miami's historical supremacy at home and strategic edges in critical stats make them the team to bet on in this face-off. My call, Miami Heat to win and cover the minus 2.5-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Memphis Grizzlies and New York Knicks. In the bustling heart of New York City, an enthralling basketball showdown is about to go down as the Memphis Grizzlies face off against the New York Knicks. This battle on the hardwood isn't just a meeting of two teams at different points in their journey this season. It's also a clash steeped in a rich history that might give us a sneak peek into what's about to unfold. The Grizzlies, sitting at a precarious 18 wins against 32 losses, are in the throes of inconsistency, struggling to hit their stride. Meanwhile, the Knicks are riding high with a solid 32 wins to 18 losses, demonstrating their knack for seizing the moment and finishing strong. Diving into the stats, the Knicks lead with a more impressive field goal accuracy of 46.68% over the Grizzlies' 43.79%, and their three-point shooting is also more lethal, hinting at a more dynamic offense. On top of that, the Knicks dominated the boards with an average of 46.44 rebounds per game, overshadowing the Grizzlies' 42.14, which means they're bossing the rebound game and snagging extra chances to score. The matchup's intrigue deepens with the injury list, with the Grizzlies feeling the sting of missing key players like Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, which could majorly cramp their style on both ends of the court. The Knicks, missing Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson, still seem in a better spot to weather the storm thanks to their squad depth and recent hot streak. Looking back at past face-offs in New York, the Grizzlies have had the upper hand, clinching 4 wins out of the last 5 meetings. But current vibes and stats point towards a possible change in the wind. The Knicks have been on fire, especially against the spread in their recent games, boasting a 7-1 record in their last 8, while the Grizzlies, despite a decent spread record, have faltered in straight wins, especially noticeable in their last 5 outings. Given the Knicks' stellar performance in February and their prowess in beating the spread lately, they're pegged as the frontrunners for this matchup. The bookmakers' spread of minus 12.5 points in favor of the Knicks, with an over-under of 214.5, underscores the expected dominance of the home squad. The Knicks' offensive sharpness, defensive solidity, and home court advantage set them up nicely, not just to win, but also to beat the spread. The Grizzlies' recent struggles, injury issues, and performance in consecutive games lean the prediction toward the Knicks even more. For those of us who've been tracking these games for years, we're usually wary of big spreads. But with the Grizzlies lineup looking more like a MASH unit and their G League fill-ins losing steam, evidenced by their recent drubbings by the Warriors and Celtics, it's tough to back them and their makeshift squad. Anything other than a straightforward win for the Knicks would be a jaw-dropper. All things considered, despite the Grizzlies showing flashes of brilliance, the Knicks' form, home turf advantage, and statistical edge in crucial areas position them as the outright favorites. The Grizzlies' injury predicament just adds to their uphill battle. Expect the New York Knicks to not only clinch the win, but also cover the spread, leveraging their strengths to keep their impressive season momentum going. The next today's prediction is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Chicago Bulls. In the buzzing NBA arena, the Minnesota Timberwolves are gearing up for a thrilling showdown against the Chicago Bulls, setting the stage for a display of basketball finesse and tactical brilliance. The Timberwolves, riding high with a formidable tally of 35 wins to 15 losses, step onto the court with momentum on their side. Their stats showcase a balanced powerhouse, netting an average of 112.96 points per outing, coupled with a staunch defense that limits opponents to just 107.04 points. With a field goal accuracy of 48.99% and a deadly 39.04% from beyond the arc, their proficiency in sinking baskets is evident. Moreover, averaging 43.51 boards and 26.33 assists per game, they exemplify teamwork and cohesion in action. On the flip side, the Chicago Bulls, despite a less impressive track of 23 wins against 27 defeats, have displayed tenacity in the face of adversity. They average 111.06 points per game on offense, while their defense gives up 112.62 points. Their shooting metrics, a 46.49% field goal and 35.63% three-point completion rate, suggest they might struggle against the Timberwolves' tight defense. Nevertheless, their rebounding stats nearly mirror Minnesota's, with 43.30 rebounds per game, and their assists average at 24.46 per game, indicating a closely matched contest. Injury updates add intrigue to the matchup, with the Timberwolves missing Jalen Clark, while the Bulls face uncertainties with Dennis Smith Jr., and key players like Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, and Patrick Williams sidelined, putting Alex Caruso's participation in doubt. These absences, particularly of LaVine and Ball, may tip the scales in Minnesota's favor, as Chicago will feel the void left by their key contributors. Historically, the Timberwolves and Bulls have been neck and neck, with Minnesota securing wins and covering the spread in half of their last 10 encounters. Yet the Timberwolves have found it tough to dominate in Chicago, with just one win and spread cover in their recent visits, hinting at a Bulls home court edge. Despite this, Minnesota's current form, with a 5-2 win-loss record in their latest outings and a stronger showing against Chicago, contrasts with the Bulls' recent struggles and propensity for high-scoring duels, which have often surpassed the total points line in their matchups. The odds lean towards the Timberwolves, favored by a 5-point spread with a total points line set at 218.5. Given the statistical overview, injury considerations, and recent form, Minnesota is well placed to exploit the Bulls' lineup and defensive gaps. Their superior shooting percentages and defensive reliability afford them an advantage in this clash. Furthermore, Minnesota's consistency on the road and their prowess against Eastern Conference adversaries make them the likely victors and spread winners. Considering the Bulls' erratic performances and injury woes, coupled with the Timberwolves' defensive excellence and rebounding dominance, Minnesota is expected to maintain its focus on the basics and clinch a decisive win. They lead in defensive efficiency and rebound rate, underscoring their capacity to control the game's tempo and outcome. Thus, while the Bulls may put up a spirited fight, especially leveraging their home court, the Timberwolves' superior stats, healthier roster, and form suggest a victory and spread cover. The total points present a tighter decision, yet Minnesota's overall efficiency should prevail. The smart bet is on the Timberwolves outclassing the Bulls in critical game facets, securing the win and covering the spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Oklahoma City Thunder and Utah Jazz. Tonight's showdown in Utah between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Utah Jazz is shaping up to be a riveting chapter in the NBA's ongoing saga, packed with strategic depth and complex dynamics. The Thunder, boasting an impressive record of 35-15, ride into this game on the wave of a stellar season, marked by their high-octane offense that's been lighting up scoreboards, with an average of 120.55 points per game, complemented by a staunch defense holding opponents to 112.51 points per game. Their shooting efficiency is nothing short of remarkable, with a field goal percentage at 50.21% and a three-point precision of 39.02%, alongside an average of 41.51 rebounds per game. Facing them is a Utah Jazz team that, despite a 25-26 record, should not be underestimated, particularly with the edge of playing on their home court. The Jazz's offensive output averages at 117.64 points per game, though they concede slightly more at 119.98 points, signaling a potential vulnerability on defense. Yet, with field goal and three-point percentages at 47.10% and 35.65% respectively, and an advantage in rebounds, 46.50 per game, and assists, 28.36 per game, their team play is commendable. The Thunder have historically had the upper hand against the Jazz, boasting a 5-0 straight-up victory streak in their last 5 meetings and a solid 6-0 against the spread in recent matchups. On the road, their dominance is evident, with a 4-1 record against the spread in their latest 5 away games, and a tendency to keep the score under the total in 9 of their last 11 road games against Utah. The Jazz, however, show a formidable resilience at home, with a 10-2 straight-up record in their last 12 games on their turf, despite a somewhat mixed form with a 3-6 record in their last 9 games. Their against-the-spread performance, strong at 10-5 in the last 15 games, showcases their competitiveness. Head-to-head stats in Utah paint a balanced picture, with Oklahoma City clinching wins and covering the spread in 3 of their last 5 visits. Tonight's game dynamics could be significantly influenced by the injury list, with Oklahoma City potentially missing key players, while Utah enters the fray at full strength, which could tip the scales in their favor in this physically demanding game. Analyzing the stats, recent form, and both teams' capabilities, especially in offensive efficiency, defensive strength, and rebounding, the matchup is poised for a tight contest. However, with Oklahoma City's injury concerns and Utah's home court advantage, the stage is set for a closely fought duel. Despite the Thunder's recent dominance, Utah's home performance coupled with Oklahoma City's extensive injury list could dictate the pace and physicality of the game. The comparative stats and trends, alongside the Jazz's resolve to capitalize on their home advantage, suggest a defensive battle, likely keeping the total points below the 244-point mark. In sum, the Thunder's lengthy injury list casts uncertainty on their lineup tonight. The high total points set for this game reflect the Thunder's dynamic play and offensive efficiency this season. However, given the injuries, the game's flow might be disrupted by varying lineups. With the Jazz ranked 16th in pace of play this year, I anticipate the under will be a comfortable bet. My prediction is that the total points will remain under 244. The last prediction for today is for the game between Milwaukee Bucks and Phoenix Suns. Tonight's clash brings us to the vibrant city of Phoenix for a thrilling face-off between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. In a display of high-octane basketball, the Bucks, boasting a commendable 33-17 record, are set to battle the Suns, who are hot on their heels with a 29-21 tally. This isn't just a game, it's a showdown of basketball titans, a test of strategy and on-court dazzle. Digging into the numbers, the Bucks have the edge offensively, racking up an average of 123.98 points per game, outpacing the Suns' 116.88. Yet Phoenix counters with a stingier defense, conceding only 114.65 points per game, while the Bucks allow 119.88. Their shooting accuracy is nearly identical. Milwaukee nets 49.81% of their field goals, with Phoenix a hair's breadth behind at 49.55%. The battle from beyond the arc is equally matched, with the Bucks and Suns sinking 37.81% and 37.87% of their three-pointers, respectively. The fight for rebounds is tight, with Milwaukee snagging 44.27 boards per game to Phoenix's 43.12. Assist tallies are virtually the same, showcasing a shared commitment to fluid play and teamwork. These stats highlight the slim margins separating the teams, indicating a game likely to be decided by the slimmest of differences. Historically, the Bucks have had the upper hand, securing victories in 7 of their last 10 matchups against the Suns, including a strong performance against the spread in their recent meetings. Yet, the narrative changes in Phoenix, where the Bucks have struggled to replicate their success. Injuries could tip the scales tonight, with the Bucks potentially missing key players Brook Lopez and Damian Lillard, while the Suns are without Damian Lee. The impact of these absences cannot be understated, as it could sway the game's dynamics significantly. Recent trends show the Bucks faltering against the spread and facing challenges on the road, especially against teams from the Western Conference. Conversely, the Suns have excelled on their home court and against teams from the East. Taking all into account Phoenix's home court advantage, defensive edge, and the Bucks' road woes, the Suns are favored to not just win but also cover the 4-point spread. Given the Suns' propensity to step up at home and the Bucks' defensive struggles, particularly with Lopez and Lillard's uncertain status and Antetokounmpo's knee concerns, Phoenix stands a strong chance to dominate this encounter. Considering the stats, trends, and historical performances in Phoenix, I predict the Suns will outshine the Bucks tonight. Their defensive strength and consistent home performances position them to overcome the Bucks' offensive firepower, securing a win and covering the spread.